Injuries, struggling power play, new faces, it doesn't matter. The Dallas Stars find a way to win. And Saturday's game against the Oilers is the exact reason why you pay Jake Oettinger.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome back to another week of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. The Dallas Stars are victorious in the Western Conference final rematch over the Edmonton Oilers by a final score of 4-1 on Saturday afternoon, and the Stars improved to 5-1 on the season, and they continue to find a way to win hockey games when they're not at their best. And Saturday afternoon was dominated by Jake Oettinger. We'll touch on him, the injuries that continue to pile up. Hopefully there's some good news on that front on a Monday, plus a Logan Stankoven update. How's the Calder race shaping up here early on this season? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Be sure, place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As you all know, I have been very high on Jake Oettinger. Even last season when, frankly, I probably shouldn't have when he was really struggling, but he is off to a brilliant start this season. His numbers in October throughout his career are unreal as well. And he put up an absolute gem the other night against Edmonton. He comes up with 30 saves on 31 shots. He stoned Connor McDavid, and he really held a very, very talented and dangerous Edmonton lineup to just one goal in the contest, and was frankly the only reason the Stars won this game on Saturday afternoon. But once again, the Stars continue to find a way to win games when they're not at their best. And Pete DeBoer continues to allude to this in his post-game press conferences. He would like the defense to be a bit sturdier, and he would like the offense to find a rhythm, but they're still sort of figuring that out. And you throw in the litany of injuries they now have to Matt Dumba, Tyler Seguin, Sam Steele. Then you're having to call up Petrovic and Matej Blumel just to fill some roster spots in case you need them. Blumel checked into the game the other night and played pretty well. There's just a lot of moving parts here in the first 2 weeks of the season, and the Stars are just picking up points, and it's built off the back of Jake Oettinger. His goals saved above expected is 6.6 in the 4 games he's played this season. That is number 1 in the National Hockey League. This is via moneypuck.com. He has been superb for the Dallas Stars, and they've needed him to be. And it's a great sign. His career numbers in October, he's 13-1-1, a 1.54 goals against average, 948 save percentage, and 2 shutouts in the month of October. So he gets off to scorching starts. Hopefully that continues, and we get that for a large part of this season. But he just looks so locked in. And last season, the amount of times he got beat up high, blocker, glove side, was a bit abnormal, at least from what we saw from his first 2 seasons in Dallas. He looks much calmer. He looks like he trusts his body. I think that was a large part of some of his struggles last season. I just don't know if he trusted his body quite yet coming off his injury, because it was a lower body injury. And of course, as a goaltender, it's all in your legs, all in your hips. And there was just points where I don't know if he trusted his movements or trusted his positioning. He just looks really calm. He looks big, and he's challenging shooters. He has that swagger, right? That little cockiness in his game, that flair, which is great to see. And he's just been off to such a fantastic start. And I mean, he was the only reason the Stars were in the game for really the first two periods. Edmonton was dominating. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman were just all over the sheet, but not the stat sheet. And Dallas just found a way. But I'll give him props too. The game sort of woke up after the Brendan Smith hit, right? He buries an Oiler into the end wall, and the juice and the energy in the building started to pick up. Stars started to find their legs, and then they get that power play. The power play's alive. Matt Duchene, right off a face-off win by Rope Hintz, rips it past Skinner, and then the Stars started rolling. And I don't want to gloss over that hit from Smith either, right? Because one of the main struggles for Dallas here early this season, and something that has to get sorted out sooner rather than later, is exiting their own zone. It is a chore to get out of the Stars' end. And Daryl Ray has mentioned this a few times on the broadcast. It is a struggle for Dallas sometimes to get out of their own end because they don't have the personnel that suits that style of play of just, the one quick pass up the ice and they're out. I think there is something to be said about the forward trios having some issues as well, but Pete DeBoer is shuffling some players around. We saw Johnston go back down to that line with Ben, and I mentioned that over the summer. I think Johnston needs to play with Ben. I think those two just have a real good chemistry, and Stankoven on the top line is working wonderfully. He's the perfect complement to those two players. Have Wyatt play with Ben and Bork and see where that goes. I know Stankoven and Bork are sort of that duo that you thought was going to be perfect coming into the season, but as Bork is trying to find his legs and find his game at the National Hockey League level, have Johnston down there. It sparks a little something with him and Ben as well, and I think that can help Bork along. So DeBoer, I feel, needs to just sort of be strong on the Stankoven on this top line and let that sort of sort itself out, because we haven't gotten a lot from that trio when Johnston's been on the top line, and consistently, I would say they've of course had their moments, but I would say consistently, I think there's a lot more juice and offense being created with Stankoven on that top line. So they're still finding it. But as I was touching on, and I want to circle back to, since they're struggling to get out of their own zone with defensemen like Brendan Smith, who we know are not perfect, right? But he brings physicality. So be physical, right? If that's what you're going to bring it. If you're not going to be the shutdown two-way defenseman, that's okay. That's not why we signed Brendan Smith. We want him to bring the physical presence, then bring it. If you're going to do one thing on the ice, hammer bodies, if that's what Brendan Smith is going to do. And he did it in Saturday's game, and it gave some life to the lineup. I think it injected something into the game, not only for Stars, but the Stars fans at the AAC. And then boom, they started to play a little bit better as the game went along, and then they get the few insurance tallies in the third period. I mean, Marchment's I don't know if this is controversial. I think he's been the best Stars forward this season so far through the first 6 games. He's been unreal. What a pass to set up Duchene for his second goal of the night and for the 2-0 lead. And Dallas really never looked back from there. Rope Hintz, a beautiful shot in tight. Just a minute later, Stankoven with the setup there. And the Stars get a big win on home ice after being dominated the first 2 periods. You take a look at some of the 5-on-5 numbers. But the Stars ended up with, a 2.8 expected goals for, which was, more than the Oilers at 5-on-5. So, yeah, they didn't have a ton of possession for a lot of the game. and Edmonton was controlling a lot of the play, but Dallas just hung in there, and they got enough offense, and Oettinger holds them in, and that's why he's going to be worth every penny, and it's a reason you pay the man, because he can do that. That's what number ones have to do, and he didn't do it consistently enough last season, right? But this is what he does, and he'll continue to get better. And what a performance from him when the Stars certainly needed it. And Dallas picks up another huge 2 points against an Oilers team that came in off their best game of the season, and they had some life. The PK, right, goes 2 for 2, holds the league's best power play. I mean, one of the history's best power plays over the last few seasons off the score sheet. They've just been incredible. They have the number one PK in the entire league at 95% by a pretty comfortable margin. And it's been a huge reason why for their success early, especially with the power play struggling. But it was nice to end the streak of 16 straight power plays without a goal. And sometimes it's simple, right? Duchesne just gets the puck and wires it on net. And DeBoer mentioned that they were pressing a bit, and they were probably forcing the play a bit too much on the man advantage. And it was good for Dutchie to get on the board, and for him to just wire it right off the faceoff. Took him 8 seconds, and then boom, Dallas is on the board. So yeah, I mean, Jake is a huge reason why Dallas is off to this start, and it's a reason you pay him. Once again, you need your number one goaltender to have games like that sometimes when you just don't have it. And they've played a lot of hockey. I know that's been thrown around. They've played a lot of games here in a short amount of time. Plus, you have this trip coming up to Finland, which is going to throw a wrench into things. But they find ways, right? And that's what the Stars are doing right now. And I think that's a big deal. It's a big deal for a team that is not firing on all cylinders, and you don't want to get into too deep of a hole, right? We're seeing that with Nashville, who's without a win. We're seeing that with Colorado, who's had a ton of struggles, and they don't know what's really going on either within their lineup. So as much as I have concerns, and Dallas is not playing great, they're just playing okay. You have to like where they stand after 6 games, and now they can continue that hopefully into tomorrow, in the next few days, as they take a little mini 2-game road trip to the East Coast against Buffalo and Boston. Okay, let's update y'all on some of the injuries that continue to pile up. Hopefully we'll have some more answers on a Monday about who will be available, but the Stars' depth is certainly being tested. We'll get into that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality candidates matching your job description. That's what it's all about. Getting job candidates that match your job description. So go ahead, join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. So the Stars are off and running this season to a 5-1 record as they prepare for the Buffalo Sabres on Tuesday night. Hoping for some good news on Sam Steele, who tweaked something at the end of the game in Washington, and he was not available to go against Edmonton the other night, which was unfortunate. But the good news is with Dallas, they do have options up front. the back end defensively, they don't boast a ton of depth, but they still have capable players I think they can bring up. Petrovic, who is kind of that perfect seventh defenseman. And then you still have Liam Bichel, right? That's still an option. I don't think they want to bring him up this early. That's why I predicted they would call Petrovic up when Dumba went down. But that is still an option, and possibly Bichel could give you some minutes if need be. But I think they want to stay away from that for as long as possible. Seguin and Dumba were still not ready on Saturday. Smith was probable, but of course he played after he took that cross check in the back in Washington as well. Just feels like these injuries just each and every game start to seep their way in. And Marchment took a puck up high early in the game. Fortunately, he was able to go. Seguin's now missed 2 games, which, man, it's really, really stinks because when he's been in the lineup, he's been very productive over the last few seasons. Seguin is just at the point where I think he's always playing hurt. He's just never 100% healthy, which sucks to say the least. But gosh, he was playing really well off the hop again, and he's just been very productive, and he's been consistent over the last 2 seasons when he's in the lineup. But also, it allows for some players to step up and play some more minutes, right? Like Bork and Johnston. They have to carry the load anyways, or they need to shoulder some more of that load. So if Seguin's not available, it does allow for Dallas to flex that depth a little bit. And I think put some weight on the shoulders of guys like Rope Hintz and Robertson, who need to consistently be better, right? They need to have some dominant games night after night. And hopefully that they get to that point. I'm sure they will. There's way too many pieces up front for the Stars to figure that out. But they did recall Blumel over the weekend. Blumel and Petrovic were loaned back to Texas on Sunday, but that was probably just a paper transaction. They will more than likely be called back up probably on Tuesday and make the trip out to Buffalo with Dallas. Blumel is, he's perfect for sort of that 13th forward, right? He's a shooting kind of right winger, right? Skates pretty well, kind of fits in perfectly in the bottom 6. And who knows with the way it's going, DeBoer may want to shuffle some pieces around and get some players into some different spots here if the offense isn't producing like he likes. But, the Stars are certainly going through some adversity, and they haven't had to deal with a ton of injuries over the last few seasons. But albeit they had the injuries they did have last season were just some key players. I mean, they missed Miro for a month, and they missed Otter for over a month. Your best defenseman and, your number one goaltender. And they still found a way to just win a ton of hockey games because they outscored a lot of their problems during that stretch. But they haven't really done that this year. And that is, I think, a good sign. The defensive product as a whole within the 6 games has been good. It's been good. Lyubushkin has been a great add. Oh, since I didn't touch on it in the first segment, dude, Nils Lundkvist, what a player. I mean, completely different. Completely different. He's phenomenal. In front of his own net, the amount of times, I mean, he's buried more people in front of the crease this season than he did in the previous 100 games he played here in Dallas. Seriously, he's physical. He just is killing plays. He's been very, very good in his own zone in terms of his board play, his body positioning, and he's been a great surprise. He played, I think, over 16 minutes. He played over 16 minutes against Edmonton. That's a great sign. It's a great sign. I believe that's a season high for Nils too. He was kind of around the 14-minute range, but he played over 16 minutes, which is a fantastic sign. And he's quality minutes, right? I can't say enough about what Nils has done off the rip here. And they need it, right? Dallas needs it with the injuries. That is one less problem and one less issue the Stars have to worry about, right? Especially with Pete DeBoer. Doesn't want to have to worry about Nils. Doesn't want to have to worry about trust issues. And I think you're starting to see that sort of come to fruition, right? And it's taken a while. Look, I was kind of out on Nils after last season, just from, I would say, more of what the coaching staff was doing with him, but it was obvious in the postseason he was not up to speed. He's looking the part. He's looking the part, which is great, because that's one less guy you're having to worry about replacing, right? Or that's 14 more minutes you're not worried about giving to somebody else or trying to find somebody else to give 14 minutes. So big props to Lundkvist and his play. Good to see that he's off to a really good start. So just wanted to make sure I touched on that. And the product as a whole defensively has been pretty damn good, right? I mean, they've held some good offenses in check here to begin the season, and of course the goaltending has a large part in what has gone on in terms of goals against, but they're working through some things. They're working through some things to say the least, and hopefully the injury bug will sort of wear off here in the next week, and we'll hopefully have some more updates today, but definitely tomorrow ahead of Tuesday's night's tilt in Buffalo against a Sabres team that, man, they can score too. I've watched a few games of Buffalo, but they're off to a 2-4-1 start. So Stars have had some success in Buffalo over recent seasons, though. So hopefully they can continue that. Okay, let's segue into one of my favorite players in Logan Stankoven, the Calder race. Without Celebrini playing right now, Logan has to be the front runner for the Calder Trophy. Let's update you in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Yesterday, I was in my apartment on my couch watching Vikings, Lions, watching Texans, Packers, a couple of great games in the noon window. And I thought I should try to make some money while I'm just hanging out. Okay. So I got on the FanDuel app and boom, sprinkled some money right on the game as it was happening. And that's the best part about FanDuel. You get started with $200 in bonus bets as well, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So when you get that hunch, you can get after it on FanDuel. Download on your smartphone or visit FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Logan Stankoven, the Stank Tank, Stanky, whatever you may address him by, is off to a fantastic start, over a point per game to begin his rookie season, his official rookie season. 7 assists in 6 games. We're still awaiting his first goal, but man, he's been facilitating, and he picked up a helper on Saturday on the Rope Hinskell, and he is the leading, has to be the front runner for the Calder Trophy. He leads all rookies with 7 points and plus minus at a +4. And there's some other talented young players, right, that are making a case here early. Seamus Casey in New Jersey, he's a lot of fun to watch too. He's a defenseman, and he's already got 4 points in his first 8 games. Michkov, of course, who I believe was top 3 in terms of odds to win the Calder. He's got 4 points with Philadelphia. I know Lane Hudson is another guy that's been getting a lot of steam and a lot of talk about him in Montreal. He's shifty, man. He's kind of like Quinn Hughes, right? He's just head fake galore. He gets made fun of for the amount of head fakes he makes, but boy, is he's special too. But Stankoven leads all rookies in time on ice. He's got 7 points, as I mentioned, 7 assists, and leads them in plus minus as well. But his plus minus is going to be fine since he plays for the Stars, so it's not a great indicator for some teams like New Jersey. Well, New Jersey's a good club, but Philadelphia, Montreal, San Jose, right when Celebrini comes back, they're probably not going to be doing a ton of winning. So plus and minus can certainly be misleading, but Stankoven is the front runner, and you can just give him the Calder, right? If he continues this pace, right? And hopefully he does. He's so fun to watch, and he just makes things happen. One of the things that constantly jumps out to me when watching the first 6 games of the season is when Stars are like need a shift. They need something to turn it. Number 11 will do it. Number 11 comes out and changes the momentum, makes things happen. We saw that in the Seattle game when Dallas just needed a goal, and then boom, gets out there, creates a turnover, puts a puck off a skate, and it was a fortunate bounce, but it leads to the Duchesne goal, right? Like those type of plays when Dallas needs the tide to be turned or tilt the ice, throw number 11 out there. It will happen because he's just a dog, right? He's a dog on the puck. He's dog in all 3 zones, and he gets rewarded for it too, right? Like it's not a coincidence where he picks up his points and where he's going to produce, and that is down low, beneath the circles, in tight around the goal. Like he goes to those areas, he goes to the top of the crease, and he gets rewarded for it. And he's just creative off the rush, right? He's pass first mentality, which I think has to thrill whoever he's playing with, whether that's Robe. I was like a little combination of Robo and Rope there, whether it's Robo, Rope, or Ben and Bork, right? He's looking to set up his guys, and he does in all situations. He's been a spark on the power play, especially on entries. I think DeBoer, or maybe not DeBoer, Steve Spott should tamper or tinker with him on that number 1 unit, because they need to be better on their entries, and Stanky can just drive the puck in deep and create some time and space, right? Get in and set up, spread out, and get to your looks, right? He's doing everything and anything to win, frankly. It just clicks with him, right? And you could really see it in the first few games of last season when he got called up. Just certain players click, right? We saw that with Miro right away. It's like, okay, yeah, he gets it. He's good. and Stankoven has been that way since he stepped foot in Dallas, and it's an absolute pleasure to watch him go about his business on an every night basis. So we'll see what he can muster up in Buffalo tomorrow night against the Sabres. A couple of games this week, taking on the Bruins as well. So a couple of good tests here on the road as the Stars continue to just pick up points. And we'll kind of look at this as these like 10-game segments of the season. These like 10-game spurts of where the Stars are sitting, and they're off to a phenomenal start. Winnipeg's undefeated, so look at them. They're just always around. They won't go away. So they're sniffing around, and yeah, we'll see if Nashville and Colorado can turn it around. But so much for the Central being this tough division. 2 of the top 3 teams I thought were going to be in the Central are off to very, very poor starts. But that'll do it for a Monday episode here on Locked On Stars. Please hit the subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment, hit the notification bell. Never miss an episode. As always, thank you so much for the love and support on the videos over the past few weeks. appreciate you. For those of you that are new, thanks for joining, hopping on, jump on board. It's a lot of fun here on Locked On Stars, bringing you Texas hockey every single day on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Have a great rest of your Monday. Continue to be on the lookout. Follow Locked On Stars on social media, by the way. Updates on injuries and all that good sort of stuff that sometimes we miss because of just timing of when I post videos and stuff like that, because I do have to get up and do a big boy job, right? So sometimes miss that. I don't get to cover it right away. So follow us on the Twitter or X, whatever you may call it. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.